All right, everybody, welcome back. Sam's Army, episode 2.269. We got a lot to talk about today, and this is not going to be your normal happy-go-lucky, jovial vibe that we've tried to put out there for Sam's Army. As you can tell by the sunglasses and the all black, I don't know if it's a funeral or an execution. I don't know what we're doing, but we're going to talk about the game that just happened, which was the U.S. men's national team against Uruguay in the final group stage game of Copa America, where we needed to win. It was a must-win game, and we didn't win. That's the long and the short of it. I'm not even going to do an intro with the questions and all that. I'm too mad. I can't really muster the happiness and the joy to bring up some jokey questions. Mitchell's here. Mitchell Goulet, aka Overtime Mitch. Great to see you. Love the vibe. Love the look you got there. Tyler Terrens. Everybody knows him. And we're here. We're going to here to talk some soccer. There we go. Let's talk about the U.S. game. I'm sure the Panama Bolivia game will come up at some point, but really what we're here to talk about is the U.S. men's national team and where we stand, because it's not in a good place. I'm not in a good place. The program's not in a good place. I don't know. I just kind of want to hand this off. Tyler, you do this for a living. You talk for a living. You got the silvery tongue. Start us off. Where do you want to start here?
I share the same sentiments of just overwhelming sadness and this similar feeling to Kuva. Obviously different and not as bad, but a similar sense of like my day and my night was actually ruined by this result. Kuva was like, you ruined a World Cup for me. We don't get many of those. That's different. This like this to me is such a shout, and I hope a wake-up call. And I'm going to say something that's going to sound painfully obvious, but this team and this group and this federation is on the verge of getting knocked out of the group stage of any major tournament at any given time. It doesn't matter who we're in a group with. We are capable of making the dumb mistakes. We are incapable of scoring goals at a high rate and creating not even a wealth, but a respectable amount of chances for the quality that we have for theoretically the individuals and the level that they play at. Some people would say that we've progressed since Qatar and since Gregg's been hired a second time. I just don't see it. The ref was horrendous. You can blame a million and one things, but the fact of the matter is we didn't create enough chances. When the crowd is constantly holding their breath and starting to get excited about the ball that should be leading to the moment that they're getting excited about, that's when you know you have a problem. We were never generating a clear-cut chance in that game. Uruguay has a different mentality than we do defending. They have a different mentality when they're going forward. And yes, they have some guys playing for PSG and for Barcelona or whatever in Liverpool, but they also have guys who are playing in Brazil and guys who are playing in Argentina, which like theoretically isn't that much better than MLS. And some would argue that top to bottom MLS might be better, but that's because there might be 30 teams. But anyway, this is all to say that like we are not good enough as a collective is midway through his second cycle. And I don't understand why other nations can hold the coach accountable in a way that almost seems too hasty, and we're hanging on for dear life. And this is a larger soccer who I think at this stage, if he doesn't get rid of Gregg, this is just a shout that he doesn't want to be wrong, that he doesn't want to admit to the world that when he made the decision to hire Gregg again, because it was his decision to do that, and he had a blank slate, he doesn't want to admit that he was wrong. This is all about egos. This is all about my decision and my control over this team is the right to. And they don't want to roll the dice heading into 26 and heading into the most important tournament that this nation has seen. And that has a trickle-down effect to how we operate on the field. Nobody wants to make a mistake. It's too little, too late. You know, Clint Dempsey talked about it. The guys got to stop playing negative and stop just playing to keep the ball and fuck up as little as possible. What made Clint Dempsey the man? Because he did shit that was outrageous. And sometimes he looked like a fool. But then there are other times where he looked like a baller, like in the first 2 minutes against Ghana in the World Cup. We don't have anybody like that with the exception of Christian Pulisic. And the guys who sometimes showed at the club level don't show it often enough for the national team. Somebody's got to be held accountable for this shit. Because we're on the verge of being able to spark this sport to the level that it should be in this country with the opportunity we have in 26, or we could just be a fucking laughing stock and get knocked out of the group stage. Because this tournament was on our home soil. We wouldn't have gotten a point if we were playing this tournament down in Argentina or Brazil. This is unacceptable at this point. I don't understand outside of us losing that game 6-0, what was actually going to spur change? And there are rumors that there isn't going to be change.
Okay, well, let's start off at the top right here.
Sorry, I said a lot.
No, listen, that's good. We're gonna wind our way through a lot of stuff here. Okay, that's what we're looking for. But let's just start off the top right now. Tyler, should Gregg continue as coach?
No.
Mitch?
No.
Sam? No. We have to make a change. I think the federation was tested once. And that was, well, they've been tested many times, but the Matt Crocker has been tested once, and that was after the World Cup. I felt as though Gregg probably did better than I think a lot of people gave him credit for, but I also thought that bringing Gregg back would be a mistake. I'm not saying it was a mistake. I don't even really want to get into that, but this is test number 2 for Matt Crocker. And I don't understand. I could not wrap my head around bringing Gregg back again at this point. It does not matter all the caveats and asterisks and all the explanations, the nuance of why we didn't make it out of the group. We didn't make it out of the group, and that's a disaster. At home in Copa America, this is a disaster, a catastrophe, an embarrassment. And there's no getting around it. I have no like ill will towards Gregg. I really don't. Like when I talk to the players, I sort of get all these other perspectives, and I get like a lot of positive feedback from people who have played with him or underneath him and all that. And then you talk to the fans, and the fans are like 97% Gregg out, as they all as they have been for months. So for me, we just need to clean the slate, like turn the page, clean the slate, however you want to say it, whatever metaphor you want to use. The time to make a change is now. And I would be, so I think that the Crocker failed the first test when he brought Berhalter back the first time. If he brings him back this time, like I don't know what we can do as fans, but they got to understand, they being Crocker and whoever else is going to make this decision, they are going to have an insurrection. Whatever that is, they're going to have some fan discontent that is going to hit a new level. And I really hope they listen to fans. Mitch, you haven't said much at this point. I love your vibe, love your look, but hit us with what you're thinking here.
I appreciate that. I like Tyler's monologue. So I wanted to let that kind of, give that some space. It's starting from the top. It's with the Crocker thing. It is fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me thrice. I'm going to start identifying with my French nationality a little bit more. It's insane that Gregg still has a job even now, an hour after the final whistle. And the fans, so the way you said 97% of the fans feel Gregg out. And that has absolutely nothing to do with his character or the around the back passes or any of that. I think it is in stark juxtaposition to the optimism that 4 to 6 years for the World Cup that we all inside the soccer community we felt good about it. The game as a whole, I mean. And when, like you said, when you talk to players, you hear outrageous optimism for Gregg, that he's a good guy, that he's a player's coach, that he really has hold over the locker room. That doesn't show up anywhere. Go look on Wikipedia. You can't find that anywhere. Fans of a serious footballing nation want results, not vibes. And however optimistic we can be about the sport and the direction of the federation, we cannot be optimistic about being grouped at home in a major international tournament. It's unacceptable. Like you guys said, it's it's truly, I mean, probably the worst thing that could have happened to this team at this tournament, apart from losing to Bolivia
By the
and
way,
going on
the
three.
United States, since there started being a fixed host in 1987, are the first host nation in the history of Copa America to not advance past the group stage.
Yep. Nice.
Well, like I said, an embarrassment. So you said a wake-up call, Tyler. Wake-up call for who?
For Crocker and for the powers that be at the U.S. Soccer Federation, and to everybody else who thinks that, like, because the players like Gregg, that's a reason for him to stay. Did you hear Carly Lloyd after the game? I thought she put it perfect. And I've kind of been pounding on this drum, but not the way that she has, where, like, she basically said, like, we hated our coach and we won World Cups. Everybody shouldn't like you as a coach. You should be drilling shit into their heads so much that they hate you. In my line of work, we have a producer who's in charge of, like, the show and is in charge of making sure that we stay the course of the show and what they've laid out. Obviously, it's live television and crazy shit happens and you end up having to deviate from that. But the best producers that I have are so annoying and bug you so much about the little things and about, the reads and making sure that this is right and making sure that you make sure you let that breathe at the end of that read or whatever. And so good at hammering home the minutia to the point where I can't stand their voice. But you know what? We go out and we put a really, really good show on whenever that producer's in my ear. And for Gregg, it's great that everybody loves you. And I'm so glad that, like, it's an open sort of thing and guys have made mistakes, whether it was Weston and Nashville and the Reina situation, and you're able to patch these things up. That is awesome. But if the dudes don't respect you, and if they're not going out and executing and they're not doing the things that you claim are going on behind closed doors, that's your only job. That's your only job. And, like, I think that the vibes inside of a locker room are important, but the only way you get vibes is from winning. So this is a wake-up call to people who think that, like, again, the players should have some sort of overwhelming say, a wake-up call to Matt Crocker. And I want so desperately for people. I'm friends with so many people who don't give a shit about soccer and who laugh at me when I say turn on this game. And I want so desperately for our country to get behind the team the way that we did in '94 when I was a year old, but the way that Tony Meola tells me stories about, and how the whole freaking nation buys in and gets behind this sport that we are desperately trying to get people to consume on a, by 8 monthly basis. I don't even know. And we are so far off the mark from being able to ensure that right now. And this group is not representative of an American team and sort of the spirit and the fight of an American team. I think we show it occasionally, like once every 2 years or 3 years against Mexico in a final.
So I want to sort of piggyback off of what you said right there, because basically you're getting at there's this sort of underlying essence of why I've been Gregg out, like, or why I didn't think he should get the job back after the World Cup, and why it's just sort of a cherry on the top of why he should not continue now. And I say this as, like, I hate calling for somebody's job. Like, if this is something that I really, really try hard not to do, and that includes, like, all these English Premier League managers who they couldn't give a single fuck about what I say about anything, or people who are making decisions. I say this as a fan of the sport, a fan of this team, a fan of sort of where we're going and all that, just wanting the best for this. I remember 1994. Not to age myself, I remember 1994. I remember 2002 would be a better example. I remember the country coming together, fans like just being interested and wanting, everything. We're all on the same page, right? There, when we talk about Premier League, we talk about MLS, we all have our teams, we all sort of, we're on the same team soccer, but at the end of the day, it's like, well, I'm rooting for Tottenham, you're rooting for Arsenal, Mitch, you're rooting for Liverpool, Tyler. Like, we're not going to come together really at the end of the day. US men's national team and the US women's national team are the one combined are the one thing that we can always come together and be sort of one, rowing in the same direction. And we have not been doing that since 2017, since Cuba. Let's be honest. Because even when Gregg was hired, there was a huge faction of fans that were immediately Gregg out. And I was not on board with that. You got to give somebody a chance to coach and do whatever else. Now I am, he's had his cycle. I think he did a decent job, but it's time to move on. And I like, aside from the results, which I think merit making a change, just bringing the country and all of our fans together again. For me, this is not a shot at Gregg. Like, this is like, he's just, unfortunately, the well has been poisoned. We need to move on.
The fact that we're having this conversation in his 6th year,
definition of insanity. Truly.
If this was halfway through his first cycle, I am all for giving him a real shot.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. Just like after we lost against Mexico and really got smoked for the most part in the 2019 Gold Cup final. That was his first really big test, and we did not look up for it. Granted, a lot of these kids were like teenagers at that point in time, but this is his 6th year. This is just downright insane. And again, Gregg can only coach the team that's in front of him, and he can only continue to work at the job they're going to continue to give him. You and I would be, all three of us would be lying if we said that even if we were getting bad results, would we really step down from the job? No, you're going to believe that you can get the job done, and you're a competitor and you want to do it. So Gregg's not just going to step aside. This says more about the federation and whatever other things that they have going on that don't allow us to just simply make the change. And, Alexi Lalas, say what you will about him, but brings up a good point. It was one of his first points when he, was given the floor to be able to comment on this, was like, the message gets stale after a cycle for almost every nation except for those that win it. Didier Deschamps has stayed on. We listed the coaches before. It's a very, very small contingency of coaches who have stayed on for more than one World Cup cycle.
It gets stale for coaches that win. It even gets stale for coaches that win.
And for an average soccer nation at major tournaments, because that's what we are. We are an average soccer nation in major tournaments. We think that we can keep a coach for 6 years because he's shown us what? Top 20 teams not named Mexico, he's never won a game. What?
It's our MO. We kept Klinsmann for too long as well. It's like, well, it's what we do.
Well, where does this come from? Where does this loyalty to coaches come from? Because it's not necessarily in other American sports. We see the success that other top footballing nations have by rotating coaches every World Cup cycle. Like you said, nobody stays for more than 4 years. 4 years itself is even a little long. So where does this weird loyalty come from, apart from like the Ernie nepotism that we know about? But like, I just really have a tough time understanding what more evidence the Federation needs to can him and go in a different direction. Are we not a desirable job?
I think that, number one, technically the Federation is a nonprofit. So just keep that in mind for money purposes and everything like that. But yeah. Gregg is still making, what, $2 million a year. So he's not hurting. But on top of that, I think that there's two things. I think, number one, it is a long and arduous process, and it's led by a lot of people who I don't actually think know what they're doing and know what they would be looking for.
And we hired a third party for that. And then there was an 8-month investigation, and then they rehired the same guy. So what fruits of that long and arduous process did we get out of that? That's insane. That's wasted money.
But people would say he was the best coach available, and we can continue tomorrow, then he's not going to get fired. And that's because I think that the second reason is, like, the players, I think, are giving him an execution of stay, and
Stay of execution.
Stay of execution today. It's midnight. Give me a
I
break.
know you said the same one last episode. That's why I remembered it.
Did I?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Maybe I should get fired. Maybe I should get fired. There are a lot of I would like that. But, yeah, this is also this is about egos and just an inability to admit that you're wrong and take a chance leading into 26. I mean, look at Morocco. They fired their coach 3 months before the World Cup, and they got to a semifinal. Morocco. And I ain't trying to hate, but like, I feel like we've got enough resources and enough shit to be able to string something together that looks somewhat competitive at major competitions. But you know, something at the end of the day, I look at Uruguay, and like they have a level of mentality and a level of buy-in, and just dogs all over the field that we just don't have. Like they're so much better than us. So
yeah, if we want to shift to talking about this game, Uruguay are a better team than we are. That was very evident tonight. They have a better manager. They have better footballers. That usually reflects on the field. And over 90 minutes, you can say what you want about that goal. And we can go into the refereeing decisions. We can go into his fundamental misunderstanding of advantage. That was
I've never seen anything like that before with a yellow card ever. I've had a men's league ref at Fire Pitch, Sam, do something like that, but then we'll all say something and then he stops it and he's like, my bad, my fault. Like I need to write down the yellow card. You guys are right. This guy, honestly, credit to him, because he was so convinced by his decisions and he was so ready to stick by them that he just ignored all logic and everything that he might have learned when like Mitch learned refereeing shit like right before.
Well, actually, I will say that you are taught to be confident in your decisions. Even if you make a wrong one, you're taught to be confident in your decisions. So that was by the book what he was doing.
At what age do you learn that you have to stop the game and you're not allowed to play quickly after you give a yellow card? At what age did you learn that?
While you're giving yellow card.
Maybe 12, 13.
And by the way, not just that, if there's another layer here, they played the ball from at least like 5 to 10 yards further forward than the foul happened. It was insane that he allowed that to continue to play. But I want to say this, the reffing was bad, especially the first half. That's not why we lost. It has nothing to like, I'm glad you guys brought it up, because like it was so bad that you got to at least address it. But like I want to just forget about the reffing as much as possible, because like that's just not really the story here, right? It's the fact that we went into a must-win game, and there's all these other nuances. Oh well, you know, we could have drawn, and Bolivia, if they had gotten a win or a draw, then you know, fuck that. The fact we like were even thinking, you know, oh gosh, I really hope Bolivia comes through for us. Fuck that, fuck us, and fuck anybody who is sort of, you know, on the same train there. That is not how we need to go into this game. We went into this game as a must win. We got 3 shots on target. I don't think I ever saw, there was one play, Haji Wright near the end, should have passed it to Pepe. Pepe was wide open, you know, on the sort of the top of the screen. He should have passed it. Instead, he took a shot. You know, strikers do that sometimes. Unfortunately, he had like 3 defenders coming at him, and it, you know, deflected weakly to the keeper. That was the one chance that we had all game. That was in like the 89th minute or something like that. Like the fact that we went into a must-win game and were so lifeless. You know, yeah, we had a good, like, do we have a great performance? Absolutely not. Do we have a good performance? Yeah. We played fine, you know, we played fine against a very good, as you guys have said, a very good Uruguay team. We played fine. But let's keep in mind, we needed that game a lot more than they did. We were at home in front of a very partisan crowd, which we don't always get. And we really didn't trouble them. You know, like we could say we played with them, and yeah, we did. They didn't create a million chances, but like they were the better team on the day, and that's what it is. You know, this is a game. This was a test. Can this team come together when Berhalter and their backs are against the wall, and We didn't. We did not. We failed. So I mean, like, I'm already sort of picturing how this could go, and I really hope it doesn't go this way. But like, the sort of thoughts of, or the explanations and nuance of like, well, listen, there was this red card against Panama, and then it was a very good performance against Uruguay, and I can absolutely see U.S. soccer standing by Gregg Berhalter at this point, especially with if the players are sort of behind him. That would just
Unserious.
that would be a
Unserious.
huge failure, and that would, yes, I think that would basically sort of unmask our federation as being less serious or more unserious than sort of where fans need them to be. Like, that's we this team, I argue that they have gotten better. I do think this team has gotten better, whether that's up to Greg or the fact that most of
Yeah,
them
but
are
the rest
playing
of the world
in
hasn't
Europe.
stayed stagnant. It's not
Of
like the
course,
rest of the world has,
of
not
course.
developed and not gotten better. It's really easy to focus on your own internal improvement and just kind of not focus on the rest of the world. But then we meet other countries in these international tournaments, and we seem shocked that the rest of the world is a competent footballing nation. And it's like, realistically, can you call yourself a golden generation if you have a gold cup under your belt? Like,
And a
I don't
Nations
know.
League, and a Nations League. I think if we're really going to distill it down, if U.S. Soccer Federation keeps Greg, we are unserious. We're just not a serious,
Yep.
soccer country. That's what it comes down to. Like, I hate to like bring it down to that base level and
No, you
reductionary
hate to
blah blah
boil it
blah,
down,
but
but
that's what it is. It's
yeah,
it's time to move on. We need a better coach. The players need a better coach. The fans, more than anybody, the fans need just somebody else. Tyler.
I It's just egos. It's really sad. It's really all this comes down to, because anybody who's put in a position of power at the United States Soccer Federation thinks that their shit don't stink and they were put on this god by a divine being, that you know best, that you know better than all the other federations that get rid of their coach after a cycle, sometimes even less than that. That you just because you say we need continuity means that we get to keep a coach who hasn't shown a single good result against the top 20 team. So all this is egos. And when you say non-serious soccer nation, like it's because we're not putting the right people in charge, starting at the very, very top. At the very top. It's sad. It's really, really sad that this can go on for 6 years of this level of complacency, because I do think that Gregg's job was to get us to the World Cup in 2022, and after that, get us out of the group stage. And he's done both of those things, and he got the federation back on track.
And we should have moved on at that point.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to keep him after this would just be a sign. And again, when I say that like it's a sign at the top, I'm willing to believe for one more beat, one more moment if they do get rid of him now. Other than that, I burned the whole thing down, 2017 style. Really,
they're gonna lose a lot of fans, and it's not like a permanent thing. Like at the end of the day, in my heart, I'm a U.S. soccer fan. I'm going to root for the team. I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna do all this.
Fans, they'll lose. Yep.
They're gonna
yeah.
lose. They're gonna lose serious fans, and then they're obviously going to not get all of these casual fans that could be coming into this sort of getting on board with this team. It's
I
just
have Tyler, in the same way that you were telling people, hey, watch it, put on this game, put on this Copa America tournament. We're hosting it. It's the best team we've had in years. It's going to be exciting football, like Copa America style. Like, put on this tournament. I've recommended that to either casual sports fans or soccer fans that may not be U.S. men's national team fans, and I've gotten like multiple texts being like, "This team sucks, dude. Why did you tell me to watch this? This is not an entertaining 90 minutes of sport." I don't like this team. I don't like watching them. There's nothing that inspires joy about sport for this. It's just, they're going to lose that casual fan that the United States has so many of, that you can in a place unlike any other in the world, you can mobilize average sport fans to care really deeply about something just because they have red, white, and blue on. For every 4 years, people care about swimming, and that was because of Michael Phelps. Like
Mhm.
you can do that with a fan base and a group of people that really fucking love representing the red, white, and blue, and you're going to lose that if you continue with Gregg Berhalter as your head coach.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that like people are gonna like be gone forever. Like me,
No, but
you, but
it's a
they're
general
not gonna pay
disinterest.
attention. They're not gonna pay
Yeah,
attention. They're not gonna care until you make a change.
and that's
That's it.
felt throughout the entire tournament. That's felt throughout the coverage of the tournament. That's felt through the media and the fandom. Like people feel that.
Yeah. I like my this whole account, this whole persona, this whole Sam's Army thing was like I just wanted to bring people into the fold on soccer, and US soccer, the US men's and women's team has been by far just the best way to do that. And for the last whatever fucking 7 years, we haven't been able to do that. We're not rowing in the same direction. We're not like people, there's too many people, there's too much negativity. And until we make a change, I'm just fucking completing, just repeating myself at this point. I'm just sad and frustrated and disappointed and mad and anyway, do we have anything else to say?
Apparently, the referee refused to shake Pulisic's hands. Gregg Berhalter was asked straight up, does he believe that he's the man to be in charge for the World Cup? He said yes. So everything's normal.
Good.
Everything's great. Everything's fucking hunky dory. I mean, like, if we want to just touch on one actual soccer thing, did anybody at this Copa America, did anybody on the US team sort of boost their stock?
Joe Scally.
Scally?
Okay. I was pretty high on Scally already, but yeah, I agree.
I feel like there was a lot of people that weren't necessarily, and I understand why, because in the US, when he put on the US jersey, he wasn't always sort of up to the level that he was with Gladbach. So it was good to see him play up to
Yep.
sort of the level we expected. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody else.
I think Tyler Adams has really kind of exaggerated his importance to this team. I don't know if his stock has risen, but like
Serginho Dest, too.
yeah,
Yeah.
biggest winner of the window, huh?
Yeah. It's actually sad. If you go back to like all these windows, the biggest winners almost always was somebody who wasn't playing. Which is that's
Don't make me sad. Don't.
Yeah, I don't I'm now I had the
Uh,
glasses on before just for effect. Now I'm actually crying and
yeah.
nobody can see. All right. I think
I
that's
have
all.
I have a fun exercise. It's a little light to end this. It may be a little too soon, but I'd like you two to rank 1 to 4 these Uruguayan strikers at the end of Darwin Nunez's career. Okay? Luis Suarez,
Yeah.
Edison Cavani,
Yeah.
Diego Forlan,
Yeah.
and Darwin Nunez.
This is tough because we already know what Tyler's going to say. We already know where Darwin Nunez falls in the top 4. So I'm almost interested. Actually, no, that's not true. I guess you sort of have a soft spot for Suarez as well. So let you go first. Where are you going to put? How are you going to rank them at the end of Darwin Nunez's career?
Suarez, Forlan, and who was the other one?
Cavani.
Forlan, Cavani.
Suarez. Diego Forlan scored some big goals, man.
Cavani scored 50. I looked this up before. Cavani scored 58 goals for Uruguay. Forlan scored 38.
Yeah, but some of Forlan's goals came in the World Cup and got them to that semifinal.
Very true. Very true. Very important.
Suarez. This is a tough question.
Suarez,
I know.
Forlan. Suarez, Forlan, and you can almost go tied for second.
No.
He's not going to let you sit on the fence on this one.
and then Darwizi.
So you're saying Forlan and Cavani are tied for second?
Yeah.
And then Darwin at at last.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. Okay.
That's not
I'm
how
trying
I
to
thought
finish
this was
something.
gonna go.
Why? Come on, man. Like you
I know.
can't ask me to like comment on the guy who like cost us potentially winning the league this year, and also in the same breath talk about the U.S. men's national team getting bumped in the group stage. Like,
Yeah, that's kind of that's kind of fucked up of me. I
asking me to like,
apologize for that.
it's a lot.
But
And I have a therapy session tomorrow, but we can only cover so much.
I'm just
see,
glad
I
you
can
said
appreciate him
Suarez
in a
number one.
vacuum because I don't support him in club football. That's the obvious number one. I'm
Yeah, I'm
sorry.
glad.
Even
I'm
though
glad you said
if you put
Suarez at
Darwin
number
at
one.
number one, I
That'd have been tough. That's what I actually thought he was going to do. I thought maybe we were going to see Darwin number one. So I applaud Tyler. Even in our moments of grief, you tapped into a base level of soccer knowledge that is it's a win. It's a win.
yeah.
Thank you.
All right. I mean, this is a tough spot, man. This is just a bad time. Like, losing to Cuba or losing to Trinidad and Tobago, I don't think anything is going to rival that. I mean, I really, really hope that nothing Wally pips that from my heart, because that was a level of badness that I'd never want to revisit. But man, this is a lot closer than I ever wanted to be right now. And I'm good at
I wanted to contend. It was only
yeah,
3 games that you had to win in order
Yep.
to win a final.
yeah.
It's only 3 games. I just wanted to compete. I wanted to be there. I wanted our team to be in a knockout stage against Argentina and Brazil and Colombia, and like you just wanted to be there. I feel like Georgia, who just qualified for the first Euros and got to the round of 16. I feel like a nation that like doesn't have any right being at just competing at a major tournament. I just want to play more games. That's it.
The party's at our house and we're not there.
We're not invited. We got sent home.
We're
We got
not
sent
invited.
somewhere else.
The bullies
We're either like
bullies kicked us out of
upstairs,
our
locked
own
in our
house.
bedroom,
Yeah.
or somewhere else.
Somebody is having sex in our bed. It's not us, and this stinks. This stinks. Now, not to change the subject too much, but I do feel like this Copa was kind of a trial run for a World Cup, right? I mean, that just makes sense. In what facet did we even like pass? The fields, for the most part, like
They'll be different. The ones where they roll out the grass, that will inherently look different, like the
okay.
process.
Yeah, that's
All right.
operated by FIFA. I'm not
I'll
worried
buy
about
in
that.
on that just because I'm looking for positives here. The team itself failed, Federation along with it. Are we going to give Fox a passing grade?
No.
Tyler, you stay quiet, but like Mitch, I agree. I don't think that my problem with Fox is not even like necessarily like I got no problem with Stu Holden. I don't even hate Alexi Lawless the way that some people do online. Like the people themselves, I didn't actually think. I thought Landon Donovan did a good job. If we're talking about people who raised their stock this tournament, I thought Landon Donovan actually did a pretty damn good job. But I didn't think that the coverage was that good. I didn't think the promotion was that good, especially ahead of the tournament to raise awareness. Like I just don't. I'm looking for I'm a person who looks for silver linings. I look for positives, and I'm scratching the bottom of the barrel for anything, about the team, about the federation, about the coverage, about the fucking fields, about everything, about sort of the fan, I guess maybe that's one positive. It looked like we had a pretty solidly US centric fan crowd at the games. So yay for us. Good job, American Outlaws. Good job, just American people. Fuck. This sucks. We stink. We got to get better. And it starts, unfortunately, with the coach. We got to make a change now, like 5 minutes ago. I hate saying that. All right. Any closing words? Nuggets of wisdom from anybody here? It would be so appropriate if nobody has anything.
All right.
Call it a wrap.
It's all right. Listen, this is not rock bottom. Kuvu is rock bottom, but this is pretty fucking close. So it's nowhere to go but up from here. Be a hero, U.S. Soccer Federation. It's time to move in a new direction. All right, guys, we'll be back again soon to talk about a tournament that we're not even involved in, and the Euros, which have been awesome up until the knockouts, which, my God, the last couple of days have been atrocious. But you know what? That's going to bounce back. It's going to bounce back. So we'll be back bigger, better, faster, stronger again soon. Thank you guys for listening, for watching, and we'll be back soon. Thanks for, as I said, I miss you guys already. Thanks, Tyler. Thanks, Mitch, Tommy, Mikey. Fuck!